Good morning, class. How are you today? My name is Ren Cibico, your teacher for this lesson. I hope all of you are doing good today. So everyone, please bow our head and let us pray.
Dear Jesus, please show me how to spend this day sharing your love in every way. Help me to be kind to everyone, to play and laugh and have lots of fun, shining your light and giving your grace, sharing your joy with a smile on my face. Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love commits me here. Ever this day be at my side, to light and guard, to rule and guide. Amen.
Hi everyone! Class Secretary, are there any absence today? Thank you, Miss Secretary. Okay, class. Before we proceed to our new topic, who among you recall our lecture from the previous meeting? Very good, class. But before we continue, again, we prepared an energizer for you. Can you guess? Okay, so the title of our game is Guess the Word. In this game, I'm gonna present you with pictures or images where you have to guess a word based on pictures. You only have to find the word that links them together. Are you ready to play? Thank you everyone for participating. I hope that all of you did enjoy our short game. Alright, so now let's continue and move forward to our discussion. With the DepEd Order number 40, Series 2012, also known as the DepEd Child Protection Policy. Section 1 to 3, which are the general provision. For the main objective, at the end of the lesson, students should be able to seek to enhance child welfare in all aspects, promoting and building positive social behavior and relationship. The policy aims to protect all school children from these forms of abuse and to develop children's positive attitude and outlook in life. This education aims to assist students in developing skills and recognizing and responding to unsafe situations, seeking assistance effectively. For the section 1, which is the short title, this department order shall be known as the DepEd Child Protection Policy. It covers the policy and guidelines on promoting children in schools from abuse, violence, exploitation, discrimination, bullying, and other forms of abuse. Pursuant to the 1987 Constitution, the state shall defend the right of children to assistance, including proper care and nutrition and special protection from all forms of neglect, abuse, cruelty, exploitation, and other conditions prejudicial to their development. Para mas maunawaan natin, Ang Estado ay ipinagtatanggol ang karapatan ng mga bata sa tulong kabilang ang wastong pangangalaga at nutrisyon, at espesyal na protection mula sa lahat ng uri ng pagpapabaya, pang-aabuso, kalupitan, pagsasamantala, at iba pang mga kalagayan na nakasasama sa kanilang pag-unlad. Ayon naman sa the Convention of the Rights of the Child or CRC, naglalayon na protektahan ang mga bata mula sa lahat ng uri ng pisikal o mental na karahasan, pananakit, pang-aabuso, pagpapabaya, pagmumaltrato, pagsasamantala, kasama na ang sexual na pang-aabuso. Kinikilala ng kagawaran ng DepEd na ang mga kaso ng pang-aabuso ay maaaring lumitaw bilang resulta ng mahihirap na sitwasyon na kinakaharap ng mga guro at ng mga opisyal sa loob at labas ng paaralan. DepEd also aims to ensure such special protection from all form of abuse and care as is necessary for the child's well-being, taking into account the primary right and duties of parent, legal guardians, and other individual who are legally responsible and exercise custody over the child. So, sinasabi dito yung well-being ng isang bata, kung paano aalagaan ng isang bata, yung responsibility ng isang magulang, guardian, o yung custody over the child. For Section 3, which is the definition of terms, child refers to any person below 18 years old of age. Children in school refers to the bona fide pupils, students, or learners who are enrolled in the basic education system, whether regular, irregular, transferee, or repeater. Letter C, pupils, student, or learners. Means a child who regularly attend classes in any level of basic education system under the supervision and tutelage of a teacher or facilitator. Ano ba yung tutelage? Ang tutelage is help or advice or teaching about how to do something. So, usually naman, teacher, diba, ang mga gumagawa dan yung tinutulungan tayo, nagbibigay ng advice at nagtuturo kung paano gawin ang mga bagay-bagay. Letter D, school personnel. Means the person working in public or private school. So, lahat ng mga nagtatrabaho sa paaralan ay tinatawag na school personnel. Sabi dito, they are classified as follow. So, may 4 na classified ng school personnel. Una ay school head. Refers to the chief executive officers or administrator of a public or private school or learning center. And usually, ang mga example ng school head ay yung principal, president of the university, like that. While an other school official includes other school officers, including teachers. Next is academic personnel. Includes all school personnel who are formally engaged in actual teaching services or in research assignments either on a full-time or part-time basis. And one of the examples I put in here ay registrar, librarian, guidance, counselor, researchers, and etc. Next is other personnel. It includes all other non-academic personnel in the school, whatever may be the nature of their appointment and status of employment. And sa mga example dito ay security guard. For letter E, which is the child protection. So, I think dito yung mga program na mga ini-implement para maiwasan yung karahasan, bullying sa loob at labas ng paaralan. And for letter F is the parents. It refers to biological parents, step-parents, adoptive parents, and the common law spouses or partner of the parents. So for letter G, which is the guardians or custodians. Dito tinutukoy yung mga legal na tagapag-alaga or yung mga foster parent at iba pang mga taong kabilang ang mga kamag-anak o kahit na mga hindi kamag-anak na may physical na pag-iingat sa bata. Yung nabibigyan yung pangailangan ng isang bata, lalo na yung attention, school needs, yung pagkain, tirahan, syempre. And for letter H, which is the school visitor or guest. It refers to any person who visited the school. Basta yung mga bumibisita sa paaralan. For letter I, which is the child abuse, refers to the maltreatment of a child, whether habitual or not. So, dito, pagmamaltrato, ito man ay habit mo o hindi mo sinasadyang pagmamaltrato sa isang bata. At una dito ay ang psychological or physical abuse. Physical abuse. Neglect, cruelty, sexual abuse, and emotional maltreatment. Secondly, any act by deeds or words na nagkakos ng pag-degrade ng value o yung kahalagahan ng dignidad ng isang bata o ng isang tao. Pangatlo, unreasonable deprivation of the child's basic need for survival such as food and shelter. So dito hindi pagbibigay ng tamang pangailangan ng isang bata kagaya ng pagkain, tirahan at kasuotan. Lastly, so dito yung hindi pagbibigay agad ng tamang aksyon kapag nasugatan or nagka-injury ang isang bata na maaring mag-result ng serious impairment. For letter J, which is the discrimination against children. Dito yung panghusga sa isang bata dahil lang sa kanyang edad, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, language, religion, and political and other opinion. And for letter K, which is the child exploitation, refers to the use of child for someone else's advantage, gratification, or profit, often resulting in unjust, cruel, and harmful treatment of a child. There are two main forms of child exploitation that are recognized: the sexual exploitation and economic exploitation. For sexual exploitation, it refers to the abuse of a position of vulnerability, different power, or trust for sexual purposes. Dito yung pagsasamantala ng kahinaan ng isang bata. Kinukuha nila yung tiwala ng bata para lang sa sexual purposes. Next is economic exploitation. It refers to the use of the child in work or other activities for the benefit of others. So, for letter L, which is the violence against children committed in school. Tumutukoy dito yung action na ginawa ng isang school administrator or non-academic personnel against sa isang bata o estudyante na nagre-result na physical, sexual, psychological, and other act of violence. On physical violence, it refers to the act that inflict bodily or physical harm. Ang ilan sa mga example dito yung paghahawak sa maselang bahagi ng katawan ng isang bata. O kaya yung pamamalo, pananakit, pananadyak, pagsasabunot sa isang bata. Next is sexual violence. It refers to the acts that are sexual in nature, like rape, sexual harassment, act of lasciviousness, forcing and attempting the child to watch and do indecent sexual act. Dito pa lang sa Pilipinas, alam natin na marami ng kaso ng rape and sexual harassment sa mga kabataan, lalo na sa mga mas bata. And minsan di pa natin nakakalain na nangyayari pa yon sa paaralan. And for psychological violence, it refers to the act or omission causing or likely to cause mental or emotional suffering of a child, like intimidation, harassment, stalking, damage to property, humiliation, threat of deduction, repeated verbal abuse. And ilan lang yan sa mga example ng psychological violence. And nagkakos ito mostly ng traumatic experience, lalo na sa mga bata. Next is the other act of violence of a physical, sexual, or psychological nature that are prejudicial to the best interest of a child. Next is bullying or peer abuse. It refers to willful aggressive behavior that is directed toward a particular victim, may be outnumbered, younger, weak, with disability, and less confident and otherwise vulnerable. Ito yung ugaling madalas na pag-aaway, pananakit, panunukso, panlalait at pangatsaw ng isang mas matapang na bata sa kanyang kapwa bata na mahina at hindi makapanlaban. Gayunman, ayon sa isang report na kumakailan na Behind the Numbers, Ending School Violence and Bullying ng UNESCO, lumawak na ang saklaw ng bullying na nakakaapekto sa isa sa bawat 10 bata ay nabibiktima ng bullying. And next is cyberbullying. Ito yung pangharas sa isang tao gamit yung electronic devices or any form ng electronic communication like social media platforms. At isa sa mga example nito ay harassment and impersonation. Next is other act of abuse by a pupil, student, or learner upon another student of the same school. One of the reasons why it happened are because of envy, hatred, mutual misunderstanding. Next is corporal punishment. Refers to a form of physical punishment that is intended to cause pain or discomfort to a pupil or student. Sa mga example dito ay gulpihin, sipain, simpigahin, sabunutan, itulak, ikulong, parasahan, itali, murahin, at ipamahiya. I have a question. Are there other ways of disciplining children that do not use corporal punishment? Yes, positive and non-violent discipline. So what is positive discipline? Positive discipline refers to any approach teaching the pupil, student, or learner and guide their behavior while respecting their right and healthy development, protection from violence, and participation in their learning. Positive discipline is about teaching nonviolence, empathy, self-respect, human right, and respect for others. Dito, tinuturuan ang tamang pag-uugali kung paano mag-behave ang isang bata, lalo na sa loob ng paaralan, at paano respetuhin ang sarili at ibang tao. Gayon din ang pagbibigay ng disiplina na walang violenteng kasama. Lastly, positive and non-violent discipline of children. It is any way of thinking, a holistic or constructive and proactive approach to teaching that helps children develop appropriate thinking and behavior in the short and long term and foster self-discipline. Ito naman ay kung paano tayo mag-iisip, paano natin tuturuan ang mga bata ng tamang behavior o asal sa loob ng bahay, paaralan at iba't ibang institution. Alright, that's it. Do you have any questions? No? Okay. Thank you everyone for listening. Mr. Nanyes and Ms. Ebrada will continue the discussion. Bye-bye!
Good morning, class. Let's proceed on duties and responsibilities on child protection policies. And it has 7 sections, and it starts on Section 4, Central Office, Section 5, Regional Offices, Section 6, Division Offices, Section 7, Schools, Section 8, Duties and Responsibilities of School Personnel, Section 9, Duties and Responsibilities of Pupils, Students, and Learners, and last, Section 10, Establishment of Child Protection Committee. So let's start on Section 4, which is Central Office. The DepEd Central Office shall have the following duties and responsibilities. A. Development of policy and guidelines for the prevention of violence against children in schools and make this available to all schools. Dito ay dapat may ma-develop na policy and guidelines para ma-prevent ang violence against children, and dapat ito ay available sa lahat ng schools. B. Conduct a nationwide information dissemination and campaign on violence prevention programs. Dito ay magbababa sila ng information sa buong bansa and gagawa sila ng campaign about sa pagpaprevent ng violence. C. Devise programs, campaigns, and activities through the Office of the Undersecretary. So ito na yung parang kaduksong ng B na gagawa sila ng program or activities para ma-prevent yung violence. Kumbaga, example na lang dito ay na i-educate ng mga bata kung paano maging disiplina, and para naman sa parents ay dito parang tuturuan sila na kung paano i-disiplina yung mga bata nila, kasi yung ibang bata ay kung nakikita nila sa magulang, ginagaya nila. Kaya nangyayari ay may time na hindi nagiging disiplina yung bata kasi nasa nakikita dun sa kanyang mga magulang. Tapos ganoon na din sa teachers na kung paano nila i-disiplina yung mga bata o mga estudyante niya. D. formulate a system of standard reporting and prescribe standards and procedures for monitoring and evaluation, and maintain the central repository of regional reports. Dito ay magpo-form sila ng standard reporting, which is narito rin yung procedures kung paano nila i-monitor and evaluate ang nangyayari sa isang school, and ma-maintain nila ang disciplinary ng mga bata. And the last, letter E, the Secretary shall exercise disciplinary jurisdiction where appropriate pursuant to the revised rules of procedure of the Department of Education in administrative cases and other existing laws, rules, and regulations. Dito ay may kailangang baguhing rules na dapat ay idisiplina ng mga bata ng tama at maiwasan na ang pagkakaroon ng mga violence sa school. Section 5. Regional Officers. The following regional officers shall have the duties and responsibilities. A. Encourage and support advocacy campaigns and capability building activities on the prevention of child abuse. Dito ay dapat ina-encourage and support natin yung mga advocacy campaigns at mga building activities para sa pag-prevent ng child abuse. B. Consolidate reports on incidents and cases of the division offices within the region and submit a regional report to the Undersecretary for Legal and Legislative Affairs. Dito ay kinoconsult yung report na nangyayari sa school or mga incident and cases of the division offices na isasubmit sa Undersecretary for Legal and Legislative Affairs. C. Monitor and evaluate the implementation and enforcement of this department order by the school division offices and such other related laws and regulations relative to abuse, exploitation, violence, and discrimination of children. Dito ay minomonitor nila yung mga nangyayari at evaluate nila yung kanilang in-implement sa school at in-enforcement nila. D. Exercise disciplinary jurisdiction where appropriate pursuant to the revised rules of procedure of the Department of Education in administrative cases and other existing laws, rules, and regulations. Ito yung ulit, yung i-revise yung rules kung may babaguhin. Tapos, kadugsong na rin dito yung letter E na give recommendations to the central office on the policies, programs, and services to address prevent cases of child abuse. So, ayun nga, magbibigay tayo ng recommendation kung anong mas magandang strategy or mabagong rules na para mas effective na ma-prevent yung magkakaroon ng mga child abuse. Section 6. Division Offices. The division offices shall have the following duties and responsibilities. A. Conduct the information dissemination activities and in-service training for teachers on the protection of children in schools. Dito ay tinetrain ang teachers kung paano niya maproprotektahan ang bata sa school. And B. Undertake advocacy campaigns and capability building activities to enable the school to do the following. Apply positive and nonviolent discipline, formulate and implement guidelines and procedures to emphasize the role of stakeholders and other persons in the prevention and reporting of cases of bullying, and provide conflict resolution or peer mediation, including referral to appropriate service providers if needed. Ito ay, sa letter B, ay dapat ma-apply dito yung kung paano i-disciplina yung bata, tas mag-formulate sila or mag-i-implement sila ng guidelines and procedures para nila ma-emphasize nila yung trabaho nila, kumbagay, kung ano yung trabaho nila, gagawin nila, tas kung paano rin nila i-prevent yung mga nangyayaring bullying sa bata, and mag-provide sila ng conflict resolution, kumbagay magkaroon ng malinaw na pag-uusapan kung kinakailangan man. C. Organize and conduct the capacity building activities for members of the Child Protection Committee and guidance counselors or teachers. Dito sila ay mag-organize sila and magkakandak sila ng activities na ma-prevent ang violence, related sa violence. And D. Develop strategies to address the risk factors that contribute to the commission of acts of abuse, violence, exploitation, discrimination, and bullying. dito ay kailangan nilang mag-develop ng strategies para maiwasan ang acts of abuse, violence, exploitation, discrimination, and bullying. And E. Consolidate the reports on incidents and cases of all schools and submit a division report to the regional office. Ay, yun ulit na magko-consolidate sila ulit ng reports or mga incident or cases sa lahat ng school na may violence man nangyari or abuse, tas isasubmit nila yung kanilang report sa regional office. So, hindi ko na ito babasahin aning letter F, G, at H kasi na ano naman siya sa ano, sa other section na explain ko na naman na yun, na mino-monitor nila and ini-evaluate nila kanilang implementation sa public and private schools. Dito yun sa division office. Tas, in ulit, na exercise disciplinary jurisdiction na kung may kailangang baguhin na rules ay babaguhin para mas effective siya at mas ma-prevent yung mga violence na nangyayari sa school. And H ay yun, give recommendation to the regional office and devise measures to address and prohibit abuse. Ayun, magbibigay ulit ng recommendation sa regional office para ma-address na agad and para ano na agad yung mga ano, para ma-prevent na ulit yung abuse sa mga bata. I. Utilize resources, coordinate with appropriate offices and other agencies or instrumentality for such assistance as it may require in the performance of its function. Ito ay, kumbaga, kung ano yung binigay sa kanila na resources or plan na kailangan nila effective siyang magawa or ma-ensure na maging productive as possible. Tas sa J, encourage and support activities and campaigns initiated by stakeholder and perform such other function as may be assigned by the secretary or the regional director. Ito ay kung ano yung binigay na activities ay i-encourage natin and i-support, and kung ano man yung inassign ng secretary or regional director ay kailangan natin itong i-perform. Section 7. Schools. The school head shall have the following duties and responsibilities. A. Ensure the institution of effective child protection policies and procedure and monitor compliance thereof. Ensure that the school adopts a child protection policy. And C. Ensure that all pupils, students or learners, school personnel, parents, guardians, or custodians, and visitors and guests are made aware of child protection policy. Dapat dito sa school ay siguradong may effective na child protection policies at ina-ensure din dito sa school na meron silang ina-adopt na child protection policy, and sinisigurado din dito na dapat lahat ng nakakapunta sa school ay aware na may child protection policy. Hindi, organize, convene the child protection committee for the school. And E. Conduct the capacity building activities for the members of Child Protection Committee Guidance Counselor Teachers. So, ayun, sa letter E, ko-conduct ulit sila ng mga activities para sa Child Protection Committee. F. Conduct disciplinary proceedings in cases of offenses committed by pupils, students, or learners. Ito yung ano, kapag may nagawa yung isang estudyante na violence or na may naharas na kapwa estudyante ay ipupunta sa guidance, tapos ipapatawag yung magulang. Kumbaga, paano rin ididisiplina yung mga bata na wag nang gawin yung ganito. Tas G, ensure that participatory and other rights of children are respected and upheld in all matters and procedure affecting their welfare. Tas yun, dapat nire-respeto nila din yung bata kasi meron din silang rights. H. Maintain a record of all proceedings related to bullying or peer abuse and submitted after each school year to the division office and report and a copy of the intake form. Tas yun, maintain nila yung record na may bullying or peer abuse, tas isasubmit nila kada school year sa division office, and may dapat sila ay may copy rin ng intake form. I. Conduct the appropriate training and capability building activities on child protection measures and protocols. Dapat ito yung magko-conduct ng tamang training para sa child protection and para sa mga protocols. Tas J. Ensure that the school adopts a student code of conduct to be followed by every pupil, student, or learner while on the school grounds. Dito ay dapat sinisigurado sa school na lahat ng estudyante ay sinusunod yung rules sa school na tama ang pagsuot or tamang behavior. Tas K. Adopt such conflict resolution mechanism that respect the right of indigenous people, provide that they're conform to this department order and they uphold the right of the child. Dito ay parang kailangan nilang kumbaga pag may conflict sa dalawang bata or indigenous people ay kailangan nilang pag-usapan na meron din silang rights na para mag-aral dito sa school. L. Coordinate with the appropriate offices and other agency or instrumentality for appropriate assistance and intervention as may be required in the performance of its function. Yung school head dapat ay makipag-coordinate siya sa mga appropriate offices if may nangyayari man na violence sa school and kailangan din yan ng appropriate assistance and intervention as may be required in the performance of its function. As M. Coordinate with the Department of Social Welfare and Development or the appropriate government agencies or not governmental organization on child protection hotline or reporting abuse, violence, exploitation, discrimination, bullying, and other similar acts and counseling. So ayun, kailangan din mag-coordinate sa Department of Social Welfare and Development or other government agencies or non-governmental organization sa child protection hotline para sa pagre-report ng abuse, violence, exploitation, discrimination, bullying, and other similar acts of counseling. And ensure that all incidents of abuse, violence, exploitation, discrimination, bullying, and other similar acts are addressed in accordance with the provision of this department order. So ayun, dapat sigurado na lahat ng nangyayari doon ay ma-address agad at ma-solusyonan din agad. Section 8. Duties and responsibilities of school personnel. Article 218 of the Family Code of the Philippines provides the following responsibilities of school administrators, teachers, academic, and non-academic other personnel. A. Exercise special parental authority and responsibility over the child while under their supervision, instruction, and custody. So, as a future teacher, na sabi nga na tayo ang ikaluwang nanay at yung school din yung ikalawang tahanan. So, responsibility natin na turuan sila, bantayan sila talaga at sila. And B, keep them in their company and support, educate, and instruct them by right, precept, and good example. So, ayun, nasabi ko nga kanina na kailangan natin supportahan yung bata and educate at instruct sa kanila. And C, give them love and affection, advice and console, companionship, and understanding. So, ayun, na dapat bigyan natin ng love and affection yung bata and advice din. Tsaka, kailangan din natin silang intindihin. Tapos D, enhance, protect, preserve, and maintain their physical, mental health all the times. So dito nga, yun nga, kailangan natin nabantayan yung bata. Tapos kailangan din natin protektahan sila and i-maintain natin yung kanilang physical and mental health palagi. Tapos E, furnish them with good and wholesome educational materials, supervise their activities, recreation, and association with others, protect them from bad company, and prevent them from acquiring habits detrimental to their health, studies, and morals. Tapos ayun, kailangan natin siya bigyan ng sapat na edukasyon or yung mga sapat na materials para sila yung mas matuto. Kumbaga, bibigyan natin sila ng libro or depende na lang kung may activity. Kumbaga, as a teacher, ibigay natin dapat yung best nila na may bigay sa atin yung attention nila para mas matuto sila. Saka iiwas din sila sa mga ano, sa masasama na mga habit kung ano man ginagawa ng bata dahil sa kung anong natuto nila sa bahay na kailangan baguhin sa school. Kumbaga, baguhin yung kanilang ugali. F. Represent them in all matters and affecting their interests. So, ayun nga, sabi ko nga sa kanina na dapat kung ano yung mas effective na pagtuturo sa kanya. Kumbaga, kung paano natin maano yung kanyang attention sa atin napupunta kung saan siya interest. G. Inculcate the value of respect and obedience. Tapos, di ba, value din natin nila yung respect nila at obedience. Tapos, practice positive and non-violent discipline as may be required under the circumstance. Tapos, ayun, kailangan natin din i-practice sa bata na turuan sila ng tamang manner or discipline na hindi sa masamang way. Thus, perform such other duties are imposed by law upon them as substitute parents or guardians, and school personnel shall also strictly comply with the school's child protection policy. So, ayun nga, sabi ko nga kanina na dun sa letter A na tayo yung second parent ng bata. So, before we proceed on section 9, I have a question. Can you give me one school regulation or policies? Okay, very good. Your answer is correct. So, in section 9, duties and responsibilities of pupils, students, and learners. Pupils, students, and learners shall have the following duties and responsibilities. A. Comply with school's regulation as long as they are in harmony with their best interests. Pupils, students, and learners shall refrain from engaging in discrimination or leading a group of pupils or students to discriminate another with reference to one physical appearance, weaknesses, and status of any sort. Ito yung example ng kumbaga nagkakaroon ng grupo ang isang pupils, kumbaga para mabully isang student. Kumbaga kung wari ako as a student teacher, pero student, yun, as a student, kunwari, nasa isang circle of friends ako na nandi-discriminate kami ng ibang estudyante o kaklase namin, kumbaga i-judge, ganun. Thus, doing any act that is inappropriate or sexually provocative. Self-explanatory na naman itong ikalawa na yung mga sexually na gawain o sexual harassment. Thus, 3. Participating in behavior of other student that is illegal, unsafe, or abusive. Ito yung kumbaga magpa-participate ka na masama sa ibang estudyante o di siya safe. Ganun. Thus, marking or damaging school property including books in any way. Ito yung mga nagbabandalism kunwari sa mga wall ng school, ganun. Tapos dito sinusulatan yung mga book na di naman kailangan sulatan. Lalo na yung mga nakalagay na yung this book is not for sale, tapos susulatan nyo. Tapos engaging in fights or any aggressive behavior. Siyempre yung suntukan, kapag may naghahamon, manununtok. Thus, introducing into the school premises or other possessing prohibited articles such as deadly weapons, drugs, alcohol, toxic and noxious substance, cigarettes, and pornographic material, and performing other similar acts that cause damage or injury to another. Ito naman talaga yung bawal talaga sa school, yung mga deadly weapons tulad ng kutsilyo, tas yung sa drugs, alam mo naman yun, tas mga alak. Yun. Tas, o kaya, itong huli na magpa-perform ng injury or makipagsuntukan, sampalan o sambunutan man. And B, conduct themselves in accordance with their levels of development, maturity, and demonstrated capabilities with a proper regard for the rights and welfare of other persons. Ito naman ay self-discipline mo na din naman kung paano ka magde-develop or paano ka mag-isip ng matured para sa lahat, para sa respeto na rin sa ibang tao. Just respect another's person's rights regardless of opinion, status, gender, ethnicity, religion, as well as everyone's moral and physical integrity, and observe the code of conduct for pupils, students, and learners. So yun nga, sinabi ko na rin sa letter B na dapat nagre-respect tayo sa isa't isa, na kung ano man yung status niya, gender man niya, kailangan nating respetuhin. Walang mali doon, lahat ay tama, lahat ng tao ay may rights. Section 10. Establishment of Child Protection Committee. All public and private elementary and secondary schools shall establish Child Protection Committee, CPC. A. The CPC shall be composed of the following. 1. School head or administrator is chairperson. Guidance counselor or teacher is vice chairperson. 3. Representative of the teacher as designated by the faculty club. 4. Representative of the parents as designated by the Parents-Teacher Association. 5. Representative of pupils, students, and learners as designated by the Supreme Student Council. 6. Representative from the community as designated by the Punong Barangay, preferably a member of the Barangay Council for the Protection of Children, BCPC. B. The CPC shall perform the following functions. 1. Draft a school child protection policy with code of conduct and a plan to ensure child protection and safety, which shall be reviewed every 3 years. Tapos dito, kailangan ay mag-draft or magpla-plan ng child protection policy and safety rin. Tapos kailangan din siyang i-review every 3 years. 2. Initiate information dissemination programs and organize activities for the protection of children from abuse, exploitation, violence, discrimination, and bullying or peer abuse. Tapos dapat dito ay magbigay ng information sa lahat ng programs and mag-organize ng activities na mag-protect sa child or ma-prevent yung mga abuse. 3. Develop or implement a school-based referral and monitoring system. Plus dito, kailangan nila mag-develop at mag-implement ng plan or anuman na school-based and dapat itong may monitoring system. Example na lang ay yung Google Forms. Thus, 4. Establish a system for identifying students who may be suffering from significant harm based on any physical, emotional, or behavioral signs. Yun nga yung kailangan nila mag-establish ng system, kumbaga yung way na kung paano nila ma-identify students, na lang ay gagawa ng Google form na kailangan sagutan lahat ng students kung sila ba ay na harm. 5. Identify, refer, and if appropriate, report to the appropriate offices cases involving child abuse, exploitation, violence, discrimination, and bullying. If ever man may nangyayari mang child abuse, ay i-report agad sa offices like DSWD or PNP. 6. Give assistance to parents or guardians whenever necessary in securing expert guidance counseling from the appropriate offices or institution. Dito ay kailangan bigyan ng guidance or assistance ang parents or guardians if kailangan. 7. Coordinate closely with the Women and Child Protection Desk of the Philippine National Police, PNP, the Local Social Welfare and Development Office, LSWDO, other government agencies and non-government aid organizations, NGOs, as may be appropriate. 8. Monitor the implementation of positive measures and effective procedures in providing the necessary support for the child and for those who care for the child, and ensure that children's right to be heard and respected and upheld in all matters and procedures affecting their welfare. Dito ay binibigyang tulong yung child. Tas yung child din ay meron din siyang rights and dapat siyang pakinggan and respetohin kung ano mang meron siya or kung ano man siya. So, any questions? None? Okay, thank you.
Good day, class! Today, we're going to tackle the lesson 22 of Teaching Professions. It is titled Preventive Measures to Address Child Abuse, Exploitation, Violence, Discrimination, and Bullying and Other Acts of Abuse. So, in this section, implementing comprehensive training programs in elementary and secondary is crucial for addressing child abuse, exploitation, violence, discrimination, and bullying. These programs should focus on fostering positive peer relationship, enhancing social and emotional competence, and building capacities of school personnel, students, parents, and guardians. Integrating child's right into classroom teaching with an emphasis on gender sensitivity, anger and stress management, and employing positive and non-violent disciplinary methods will contribute to creating a safer and more supportive learning environment. So, in this section, implementing comprehensive training programs in elementary and secondary schools is crucial for addressing child abuse, exploitation, violence, discrimination, and bullying. This program should focus on fostering positive peer relationship, enhancing social and emotional competence, and building the capacities of school personnel, students, parents, and guardians. Integrating child rights into classroom, teaching with an emphasis of gender sensitivity, anger and stress management, and employing positive and non-violent disciplinary methods will contribute to creating a safer and more supportive learning environment. So, in this section, it's just explain here kung paano magkakaroon ng safer environment ang mga bata kapag nasa school. So, dito, kung matuturuan sila ng proper disiplina sa loob ng school, ay siguro magkakaroon sila ng safer and more inclusive learning environment. So now we're going to tackle about the protective and remedial measures to address child abuse, exploitation, violence, discrimination, bullying, and other acts of abuse. So in section 12, which is the procedures in handling bullying incidents in schools. So bullying, so in this part, if any bullying or peer abuse incidents must be reported right away to the school head upon filing a complaint or being made aware of by staffs and officials, and it shall meeting in a meeting arranged for that purpose. Notify that the victim's parents or legal guardian and the offending child. For counseling and other measures, the victim and the offending kid will be sent in the Kid Protection Committee. In the presence of the parents or guardians, the school head may administer and reprimand if necessary. After the offending child has received therapy or other treatments, if bullying occurs a second subsequent occasion, the punishment of suspension for no more than 1 week, maybe. So next is bullying that results in serious physical injuries or death. If the bullying or peer abuse resulted in serious physical injuries or death, whenever appropriate. The case shall be dealt with in accordance with the provisions of Republic Act 9344 and in its implementing rules and regulations. So, the Republic Act 9344, so this act shall be known as the Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act of 2006. At it shall cover the different stages involving children at risk and children in conflict with the law from prevention of rehabilitation and reintegration. So, dadako naman tayo sa procedure ng Section 12. And in all cases, where the imposable penalty of the offending child is suspension, expulsion, or exclusion, the following minimum requirements of due process shall be complied with. The child, parents, or guardians must be informed of the complaint in writing. The child shall be given the opportunity to answer complaint in writing with the assistance of the parents or guardian. So, dito, in-explain lang dito na kailangan matatanggap ng parents or guardian ng biktima ang isang complaint na dapat nakasulat na hindi basta text or chat. And another is the decision of the school must be in writing, stating the facts and the reasons for the decision. And lastly, the decision of the school head may be appealed as provided in existing in the department. So now, class, we're going to proceed to the Section 13 implementation of non-punitive measures. So in this section, it is a policy related to addressing bullying in an educational setting. Non-punitive measures is aligned with positive and non-discipline principles. It is aimed to address the issue without resorting punitive actions. This measure consider the gravity of the bullying incident and prioritize constructive approaches to foster positive learning environment. And next is the Section 14, other acts of violence or abuse. When it's appropriate, additional severe acts of abuse or violence committed by student, learner, or pupil against another student, learner, or pupil at the same school shall be handled in compliance with Republic Act 9344's requirement and its implementing rules and regulations. So in this section, it's provided a section related to handling severe acts of abuse or violence among students in compliance with Republic Act 9344. So next to Section 15, which is the prohibited. The following acts as defined in Section 3 of this order are hereby prohibited and shall be penalized in administrative proceedings as grave or simple misconduct depending on the gravity of the act and its consequences under existing laws, rules, and regulations. So we have 5 in this section. It is the number 1 is the child abuse, discrimination against children. Number 2 is child exploitation. 4 is violence against children in school. And 5 is corporal management. And 6 is the any analogous or similar acts. So next is the Section 16, which is the investigation and reporting. So nakapaloob dito ang public school mula A hanggang E. So this section outlines the procedures for investigating and reporting cases of child abuse, exploitation, violence, or discrimination in the public school setting. The timeline for forwarding complaints, conduct fact-finding investigations, and adhering to specific deadlines is emphasized. So additionally, the Department of Education's revised procedure for administrative cases and the rules of procedure are specified for guidance. For education-related sexual harassment complaints, resolution number 01-0940 of the Civil Service Commission provides detailed requirements including written and sworn complaints. So, relevant facts, evidence, and certification of non-forum shopping. So, the involvement of local social welfare and development officer is highlighted for a psychosocial intervention to support the child victims and the necessary offenders during the investigation process. So next is the section 17, which is the jurisdiction. So it appears that section 17 establishes the exclusive jurisdiction of the department over complaints related to child abuse, violence, discrimination, exploitation, bullying, and other abusive acts. And additionally, it emphasizes that such matters should not be settled amicably at the barangay level and assures notification to proper authorities for actions outside the department disciplinary authority. So next is the section 18, which is the confidentiality in child abuse, violence, discrimination, exploitation, bullying or peer abuse, and other acts of abuse by a pupil, students, or learners. The identifier or other information may be reasonably identify or other information that may identify the pupil, students, or learner. Whether victim or offender shall be withheld with the public to protect for her privacy. So on the other hand, the Magna Carta for public school teachers protects the rights of teachers, and no publicity shall be given of any disciplinary action against teacher during the pendency of his or her case. So section 18, it is all about the confidentiality in situation involving child abuse, violence, discrimination, and acts of abuse by students, as well the protection of teachers' right under Magna Carta for public school teacher. So yeah, that is all about the section 18. And next is the section 19, criminal and civil liability. Criminal and civil liability from a child abuse, discrimination, exploitation, and other acts of abuse are separate and distinct and shall not be a bar for the filing of administrative case under these guidelines. So section 19 discussing the separation of criminal and civil liability in cases child abuse, discrimination, exploitation, and other acts of abuse. So those are the explanation of section 19. So next is the section 20 of a complaint against school personnel or official in a private school setting. So in this section, it is important to follow the school specified procedures for addressing complaints, ensuring due process is maintained. So any penalty imposed should align with the school rules, and the administrative case shouldn't interfere with potential civil or criminal actions beyond the school's jurisdiction. So next is the section 21. So section 21 just emphasizes that the private school is required to submit a report Annex A to the division office at the conclusion of each school year. This reporting obligation ensures transparency and compliance with regulatory requirements. And now we're going to proceed to the referral and assessment of victims and offenders and the other children. So, in section 22, the referral assessment, section 22 outlines the referral and assessment process for cases involving child abuse, assault, exploitation, discrimination, and bullying or other abusive behaviors. The Child Protection Committee or the CPC is responsible for completing the intake sheet or the Annex B in such cases. In some instances of a child abuse, the school head has the authority to refer victims and perpetrators to the local social welfare and development office or the LSWDO, which will determine the appropriate course of action. So if the victim is in immediate danger, the school head, in collaboration with the designated guidance counselor and teacher and the LSWDO, will promptly remove them or the offender, if applicable, for the scene. All actions taken will be communicated to the child's family, and additionally, the school head has discretion to refer the other individuals, students, or learner who are experiencing abuse to the LSWDO. So next is the section 23, duties of private schools. So private schools shall be responsible for promulgating a school child protection policy, including a policy on bullying, a protocol for reporting, and procedures for handling and management of cases consistent with these policies and guidelines. So the simple explanation in this section, this section shared from a document related to the duties of private schools, especially child protection policies and procedure for handling bullying cases. So next is the section 24, the separately clause. So this section, which may be held invalid for unconstitutional, shall be not effectively of the other provisions. So class, the second to the last section is the section 25, which is the repealing clause. So in this section indicates that any previous department orders or other directives that conflict with the current department order will be annulled, amended, or revised to align with the new regulations outlined in the current order. And last class is the section 26 that states that the department of order will take effect immediately upon issuance, ensuring swift implementation of its provisions. So that's all in my discussion class. I hope you learned something from me. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you.